Hi, Bunny. It's Chris in the boardroom. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So we are now broadcasting as well as streaming on Granicus, so we are ready when you are.
okay, thank you. So it is now 1:30. The Board of Directors of the Gold Green Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, this Monday, August 9th, 2021 at 1:30, Laguna Woods, California, calls this meeting to order. The purpose of this meeting is to review the proposed 2022 GRF Business Plan version 3. Agenda. So I hear no objections, so the approval of the agenda is by unanimous consent. So the chair remarks, the only thing I want to say is that I am most appreciative to staff and everyone that has worked so hard on this budget. And I think we accomplished quite a bit, this year, and being able to let the boards know and the community know how hard we work on the budgets. So the next item would be the open forum. So at this time, members only may address the board of directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this board of directors. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum. So members can attend the meeting by joining Zoom link, which they know, and then emailing. So Grant, and who is managing this meeting? Is it Grant, Jose, or because basically I would like for staff to monitor the questions.
Hi, Bunny. It's Chris in the boardroom. I'll take care of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So how many speakers do we have at this point in time for the open forum?
At this point in time, we have one speaker in the Zoom meeting, and then we have one email to read during member comments as well.
Okay. Shall we go ahead and hear that speaker?
Sure, I'll take care of it. Our first speaker is Manny, and I'll bring him to be a panelist right now. 1 second.
All right.
And then anyone else, if you would like to speak, just use the raise your hand function or use the chat, and I'll be monitoring that. We want to make sure we can get everyone's questions either heard during this section, but yeah, feel free to raise your hand or use the chat box to request to speak.
Thank you. Is Manny going to speak?
I just clicked. Okay, I'll start now. The comments I'm offering here are on behalf of the thousands of Woods Village members that I've been in contact and don't feel like they're being heard. They have told me very clearly they totally oppose any GRF monthly assessment increase being proposed by BMS and GRF and FIDI. All the members I've been in contact with demand a decrease because of the surpluses generated in 2020 and the lack of the use of the amenities. During the past 17 months, members have essentially been without the use of most of the amenities in the village, and those that have been available have been on a very limited and restricted basis. In addition, the necessary services that have been provided have not been available or have been delayed by administrative problems and unsatisfactory performance. Even today, we still do not have full use of our amenities. For example, Clubhouse 3 is still not available for use, nor is Pool 1. And the table tennis facility is only partially available during the week. It ends at 4:30 in the afternoon. It's not available all on the weekends. And there are other amenities just like this that, like I said, are either restricted, they're not open like they were before the pandemic. And the purpose in pointing these facts out is that many members have demanded that assessments be refunded, which you can't do. However, you can consider them in determining the budget amounts and the assessments. A reminder here is the total surplus generated in 2020 was over $8 million, $8.6 million. Over $1 million of that was from operations. You didn't even get full credit for that one. You will probably have another surplus generated in this year. So in preparing these business plans, again, I want to remind you what the members are thinking, they're requesting. We need to put ourselves in their position and see how this information can be reviewed. From the bottom line, with the principal concern, final assessment amount is set based on receiving acceptable levels of service, having our amenities available, and then squeezing out any excess costs that aren't necessary. Again, I talked to many members, and believe me, if you had an open meeting today, they would all be there in that meeting, crowding that room, telling you the same thing. It's a shame you change this only to a virtual meeting. All I can think is you actually don't want to face the members. That's why you're going this route. It's to prevent them from being able to communicate with you what their thinking really is. And believe me, this is coming from thousands of members, not just me. Thank you. I hope you pay some attention to this.
Thank you, Manny. Is there another, what's the next one, Chris?
Sure. So our next speaker is via email, and I'll go ahead and read it. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, this comment is from Joseph, and his comment is this: Bert Moldau was a dedicated leader of Laguna Woods Village, greatly helping the community to improve it over the years. One of his last major acts in 2020 was to reduce the PAC project cost from approximately $5 million to $2.5 million, with the other $2.5 million to be used for other M&C needs. This was in keeping with the strategy of building a much-needed multi-use outdoor amphitheater. Bert did the hard part of securing the funds to best meet our infrastructure needs. Please honor his memory by following through with this plan to use those funds to efficiently develop the amphitheater project in a timely manner. Thank you. And then I don't see anything else in the chat. And if someone has requested to speak, please let me know. But other than that, I don't see anything in the chat, and I don't see any hands raised at this moment.
Chris, there are two hands raised from Rosemary and Andre.
Ah, there they are.
Andre Tor.
So we'll go with Rosemary, then Andre. And then anyone else, feel free to raise your hand. I'll bring Rosemary over right now as a panelist.
Okay, thank you.
Am I over?
You are.
The only reason why I have my hand up is I want to be sure that Bunny responds to the, I would say, accusation or charge that she's having this as a closed meeting because she doesn't want to hear people's comments. So, I know why you're having this meeting, and Bunny, I would like you to respond because you nor the GRF board should ever be accused of trying to hide things from the community. So please respond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary. Are there any other comments?
Andre.
Yes, there's one. I'll bring Andre over right now.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about the budget issue. I have the same concept as Manny's about the budget feeling that we are overcharging the residents, and we during the last year we have a lot of reductions on our budget. We all know that, okay. And to say that we need money somewhere else, and there is no way we can do all these projects at the same time. So it's necessary that we provide some feedback, and some of the savings are not, as people describe as a lot of savings are in the reserve fund, but they are savings, furloughs and layoffs that are in the operating fund. Those money should be able to refund it, okay? We don't want people to say, yeah, we have saved money, so we want to put on bonus, give the staff a bonus. We do want them to say, if we have extra money left, we want to consider give residents the bonus. Maybe we can split them and help each other out. But for every board member that we want to give the money to the staff because they save us money, I would think that maybe we can help the residents make everybody happy rather than just make GMS staff happy. That's my comment. Thank you very much.
Are there any other comments?
Hi, Bunny. There are two. We have two comments from Sue Stevens, and I'll go ahead and read that. And then we have another, I believe, member from the community that would like to speak. But I'll start with Sue's. Sue's question, she has two of them. What formula is used to determine the amount of security services budget of $6,950,777 that is allocated to United and Third? And the second question is, why is the compliance budget all allocated to GRF? Additionally, why is compliance a negative allocation to United and Third? And that is a question for staff in terms of budgeting. But in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll go over to Annie, who would like to speak, and I'll bring her over as a panelist now.
Okay.
Mute. Hold on. Unmute. Start video. Hi, am I on?
Yes, we can see you.
Hello. Okay, thank you. I had some comments and a question. So I do agree with Andre and Manny about the budget and the money. We did not have use of the facilities here, and that had to save you a lot of money. I just know when I go into Clubhouse 4, the air conditioning is on constantly, and when that didn't happen for a year and a half, that had to save a lot of money in all the clubhouses. I'd also like to commend the ex-board member about the amphitheater, because we can see a tremendous value in having something like that right now while this pandemic is going on, and we would be able to use outdoor facilities. But you are not allowing us to use our outdoor facilities. Laguna Woods has a few beautiful patios in Clubhouse 2 and 1, and baby boomers canceled their dance this month, and they said that they asked GRF to use a patio, and they would not let them. I find this to be during this time when people are going through such turmoil in their lives mentally and all, that you and would not let us go and use a patio outdoors, since it does get very cool here every night. Beautiful, beautiful patios that we have. And you said no to baby boomers. I would like to know why. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
There are none. Actually, Andre, you had another question about something else during members' comments, or?
I think we limit it to one. Each person has an opportunity to have one question.
Sorry, no, that was my question.
correct.
Yes, I put them both
okay.
in chat and raised my hand.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So I'll answer the one in regards to why we are meeting virtually. We brought this to the board in the closed meeting, and it was voted on unanimously, but based upon the increase in numbers as far as the Delta variant, that it would be better for everyone and protect everyone, from having to wear a mask in the boardroom and be able to meet safely. So for the next 2 months, we are going to meet virtually. Not that makes me real happy that we have to do that, but if you have read the last Globe, it talks about it, how the GRF voted, for the next 2 months to basically meet virtually. And so that's all I have to say about Manny's comments. And so I'll ask the rest of the GRF board if you want to respond.
Well, first, let me just say to everyone that the GRF board members are residents also. And we have no desire to increase our per man or per month, just like everybody else. But at the same time, we've got a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that all of our expenses now and in the future are either covered or potentially covered. And that's why we make the decisions we make. Believe me, we go through a very rigorous process, and those of you who have been a part of that process for the last 4 or 5 months, we've been tearing through a lot of the activities and expenses of VMS with an eye towards reducing them or making them more efficient. So we think what we are doing today is giving you our best effort. That doesn't mean we don't stop trying, but we want to give you our best effort. And with that said, some of the specifics, Director Manny said that we are due the surplus from last year. Well, the surplus, and you will see in the calculations, the surplus actually is being returned to us from 2020. It'll be returned in 2022. So that's there. And that's in the calculation. As far as the reserves are concerned, and there was a letter to the editor that I responded to that talks about that. There's also going to be an article in the Breeze coming up in I think in September, so that we all understand what reserves are. Reserves are kind of our savings account so that we can continue to maintain, replace, and improve our assets. We have over $140 million of assets in GRF. That takes a lot of money to keep up with. One of the things, for instance, was the PAC that we need to keep up with. There's also a suggestion of an amphitheater. That's an investment. So to suggest that we saved money, which we actually did not, saved money, $7.2 million, and that should be returned in a given year, when what we did was essentially either delay or change the priority of some of the things we were going to replace or improve. That's all we did, is change the timing priority. We didn't save the money. And again, I would urge everyone to look for the article so that everybody clearly understands reserves. I don't think people understand how reserves are calculated. If we do not have the reserves necessary to do some of the absolutely required things of maintenance, what we would face then is a special assessment or doing without. That's not what we want, and that's not what the board is intending to do. The other comment I think that Andre made was he hinted that staff somehow benefits or benefited by the reduction or the savings that we had. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. That does not happen. That may have happened in the old days of PCM. That does not happen today. So that is very, very far from the truth, and I think everyone understands and knows that. That's not what happens. The savings, the operating savings this year, $1.4 million, you'll see in the calculation, was essentially returned. I also want everybody to keep in mind that last year, where we kept all the per man per month for GRF, we kept it the same. It actually should have increased because we had a large increase in our insurance, which we did not pass on to you, but we took it out of our contingency fund. Well, that contingency fund has to be replaced. So we had a lot of things to deal with this budget, and I thank VMS for helping us to get through this, understand it, and help us make the right decisions for everybody involved.
Okay.
And that's it.
Thank you. It looks like Egon's next.
I did want to make one small change to, or addition to Director Hopkins' statements. In fact, we did save money. That is, save money from proposed projects that were not done because they were totally a waste of money. So that is not money carried forward. That is money saved. Specifically, for example, there was a plan to put, for no reason at all, other than benefit of an HVAC company, a second HVAC on the back. Not necessary. The one that we got up there now that we're replacing will freeze you out of that place. Okay? There was a plan to replace all the ductwork. When was the last time, if you ever replaced the air conditioner in your house, and you tore out the ductwork? Okay, there was a plan to put in electrical panels that were not necessary. We have electrical panels in there now that are not fully utilized. So there was a lot of stuff in there that was not for the benefit of the community. We've taken that out. Just relating to the past, there are other places where the same thing happened. So that number that that one of the commenters put in, about 2.5 million, is probably pretty close for the total M&C budget that we looked at in.
Okay, thank you, Egon. Are there any other comments?
There are none.
Thank you. So the next item is unfinished business, and we have none. And so new business would be the reviews of the proposed 2022 GRF Business Plan, version 3. So I'm going to turn it over to staff.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be able to present the version 3 of the preliminary budget. Let me get it up here on the screen. All right, can you all see my screen?
Looks good.
Yes. Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, well, thank you, Madam President, for the opportunity to present the 2022 business plan. This is version 3 of this plan, and just as a reminder for everyone, sorry. Chris, can you run this presentation? Sorry.
Sure, not a problem.
While he's bringing that up, I just want to bring to everyone's attention. I know that we call this version 3, but the fact is that we have been at this process beginning in March. In March, we had departmental staff meetings where we gave staff, everyone the opportunity to be able to see what each of the departments do. We had department heads up on the screen, and they were able to share. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. For these departmental workshops, the department heads were on and were able to share what service levels are existing in each of the departments. Also in April and May, we had review of the capital plan, and we'll go through a review of that as well. But I want you to know that the board members went through each of the submittals one by one, and much to Egon's, as Egon was explaining, there were some things that were completely removed, some things that were postponed, and everything in between. In fact, the board met together on May 24th and on June 7th to go over that capital again, and there were a lot of questions that were answered. So these are items that have, I know, again, this is version 3. So we've been continually going at this, each time sharpening our pencils, doing as much as we can to be able to return as much money to the residents. Furthermore, in June and into July, we had other iterations of the budget that were presented to the boards, as you can see there. So that brings us down to today's televised meeting. And the purpose, of course, of today's meeting is to present the budget in its entirety to board members and also to present it to the community so that the community can be aware of what's inside the budget and how it was developed as we go through it. The next slide, please. So where are we and how did we get here, if you will? As has been talked about and as will be shown, the proposed budget for 2022 on your bottom left hand of your screen there is $217.81, and that represents an increase of $12.21 compared to last year, or 5.9%. I did provide some history here ranging back from 2010 onward, and you can see that compared to 2010, it's only $1.60 over what it was back then. Next slide, please. Additionally, I'd like to provide a little bit of history as far as where we are as far as staffing is concerned. We measure staffing in full-time equivalents, and for the last 10 years here, 10 years ago, you were at 772 full-time equivalents, or FTEs. Now we're at 734. It is, however, an increase over last year of 6.33 FTE. But again, just providing some history as far as where we are. On the next slide here, you'll be able to see specifically by department how we came to where we are now. Again, all in all, for 2022, we're going to be comparing all of our budgets to last year's budget, 21 to 2022. And you'll see that there was an increase of 6.33 FTE, or full-time equivalents. And we'll go through each of the departments now. In the office of the CEO, they had an increase of 1.44, and that's due to a new senior management analyst position. And the purpose of that position is to provide additional audit and analytical capabilities for the office of the CEO. Additionally, we took a part-time position and we created a full-time position for a community services supervisor to help focus priorities on the Department of Enhancing Resales process and redesigning the website. In media and communications, we had a decrease of 1.68 FTE, and that's due to the removal of an unstaffed cable technician that was helping with the internet. In information services, there was an increase of 1.2 staff year, and that's due to the addition of a customer service manager for resident services. That means that there'll be someone downstairs that's a little closer to the residents to help manage that department a little bit better. General services saw an increase of 2 FTE, and that's due to the addition of 2 paving trade aids for streets and sidewalks department. And financial services on your screen there, you can see that there is no net increase. However, I will let you know that the risk manager is moving from financial services over to human resources. So you'll see that on the next slide. And so that was offset by the addition of an executive assistant to free up the analyst time to perform more ad hoc and analyses. So that's going to help everyone understand that. Security services decreased 1.13, and that was due to some efficiencies that were gained in the area of inspections. And on the next slide here, we see that landscape increased 1 FTE due to the addition of a spray technician to help with pest control. Recreation services that you see on the screen there was a total increase of 2.5 FTE, and that goes back to 2021. In 2021, of course, due to the pandemic, as you can tell, we developed the budgets fairly early. And in the early goings of the budgets, we assumed that 2021 We assumed that by March, everything would have reopened. So all the budget for recreation in 2021 was based off of 10 months. Well, in 2022, we assumed that we're going to be open the entire time. So the difference you see here is a difference between planning for 10 months and planning for 12 months. Human resources, as we talked about, had the risk manager moved over from financial services. So that's the addition of one that you see on your screen. And maintenance and construction, although you can see no net change, I want to make you aware of some reorganization and some continual reorganization that's going on in that department. We've added a deputy director for maintenance operations, as well as a few operations specialists to help out with maintenance services and damage restoration. And all that was offset by the reduction of painters coming out of the paint department there. And that has to do with the mutual switching over from a 10-year paint cycle to a 15-year paint cycle. On the next slide here, we can see that GRF, I'd like to give a comparison between versions, and from last version and version 2 to this version and version 3. Down on the bottom right, you can see that the total decrease from version to version ended up being 29 cents, a 29-cent reduction, I'll have you know. And that comes from non-assessment revenue, decreased 12 cents per man per month. And that's due to an increased forecasted pro shop sales. So we took a better look at our pro shop sales. They're doing better than we expected, and we assume that those sales will continue to grow into 2022. Total expense decreased a total of 17 cents due to some operating reductions in the office of the CEO, having to do with consulting, media and communications, having to do with franchise and materials fees, and pest control and recruiting. Unfortunately, we were informed by our insurance carriers and providers that insurance is going to be even tougher than we expected. They did have some increases having to do with excess liabilities, but overall, from version to version, you still saw a 17-cent reduction here. Surplus and deficit recovery, the assumption for the recovery increased by $2, meaning your assessments decreased by $2, having to do with adding more operating surplus into next year's budget. And that was offset in the reserve funds. The original recommendation was to put $15 per man per month into your reserve funds. However, at board direction, that was raised to $17, so you see the $2 increase there. And there was no change to the contingency fund. So again, that's just kind of the overall how we got there. There was a 29-cent reduction from version 2 to version 3. Next slide. This next slide here is the summary slide, and we'll be seeing this slide time and time again during this presentation. But again, I just want to, these are the major inputs into your business plan. And you can see there again, it starts with total non-assessment revenue. And all in all, compared to 2021, this decreased, the revenue increase, meaning your assessment decreased by $5.79 due to assumed favorable contract negotiations regarding high-speed internet. And also golf increased due to revenue, due to increased fees for the driving range and allowing guest fees. Total expense here, this is the big increase category. You can see that there was an increase of $23 per man per month, and that's due to rising insurance premiums. Out of all this increase, $9.21 is directly attributable to rising insurance costs. Additionally, compensation and related costs went up $7.10, as well as increased outside services went up $3.86. Then surplus deficit recovery resulted in savings of $8 compared to last year. And the decrease in the reserve fund contribution, you can see this reserve contribution went from $19 to $17, and that's obviously a big change there. I'll bring you back a little bit to history, letting you know that according to last year's business plan, we assumed that the contribution was going to have to increase $5 per man per month to $24. However, you were able to achieve quite a savings there because the budget assumes that the transfer fee is going to go from $5,000 to $7,500 per eligible transfer. So that's how you were able to save some money there and in that contribution. and the contingency fund was foregone in 2021. There was no contingency fund contribution, and we do recommend a $5 contribution to reestablish that contingency fund. So altogether, that's the general overview of the business plan, and now I'd like to take each of those components and go through them a little bit. If I can have the next slide. The first one we're going to take a focus on is going to be that non-assessment revenue. So during this non-assessment revenue, you can see that non-assessment operating revenue is $10 million in GRF. And that's primarily resulting from broadband services, which is $5.8 million, or 57%. And that includes high-speed internet, equipment rentals, ad insertions. You can see golf is the next biggest category at 19%. That's $2 million, having to do with green fees, and also operations like driving range and bucket to balls, golf cart rentals, and those kinds of things. Miscellaneous is the next category at 12%, and that includes additional occupant fees, equestrian-related revenue, class fees, and RV storage fees. The next section is rentals or event fees at $806,000 or 8%. And rounding out the end there is merchandise sales at $451,000 or 4%. So let's take a deeper look at some of those on the next slide. For the next few slides, just so you know, we're going to be showing a series of numbers on the screen, and I'll draw your attention to the individual columns there. So you have 3 columns of actuals, so 2018, 19, and 20, to give you an idea of where GRF stands, as well as 2 years of budget. We gave you last year's budget, and then the current proposed 2022 budget, so you can take a look here. Again, all numbers are in thousands, but we'll go over them line by line here. Golf greens fees is proposed to decrease the assessments by $87,000 due to a return of full capacity of residents and guests to post-pandemic. Again, 2021, there were no guest fees, so you can see the dip there. Next line is golf operations. That's going to decrease the assessments by $104,000. And here you can see some GRF policies having a direct effect. This has to do with the recently adopted price changes for buckets of balls, and you can see that obviously had a positive effect upon your assessments, meaning you're gaining more revenue and pay lower assessments. The next line, is merchandise sales. That's going to decrease assessments by $27,000, and again, that has to do with the pro shop sales trend. They're continually selling more and more as we open up more and more, so that carries over into 2022. On the next slide here, you'll see clubhouse, rental, and event fees, and this is what ends up happening. Again, for 2021, we assumed that recreation was going to only be open 10 months. 2022 now represents a full 12 months, so you see some additional revenue slotted from those centers being open those extra 2 months. As far as rentals are concerned, rentals decreased the assessment by $13,000 due to the extension of the age-well rental agreement, which uses our parking lot. In broadband services, this is the headliner of revenue here. We assume that the assessment would decrease by $600,000 due to more high-speed internet revenue. Also, an assumed favorable negotiations with our third-party vendor, and also more advertising, as 2022 is an election year, and you tend to be able to sell more advertising space during election years. The miscellaneous category that you see on the board is essentially flat, and I just wanted to give you an idea of what's in there. What's in there includes occupancy fees of $205,000, equestrian revenue of $129,000, class fees of $118,000, RV storage fees of $110,000, and traffic violations of $100,000. On the next slide here, that was the conclusion of the revenue section. And Madam President, I don't know if you want me to keep going on to the next sections, or do you want me to pause here and hear any questions from revenue? Sorry, you're muted.
Okay, I do think that at this point in time, we should ask if there are any questions on this particular plan.
Hi, Bunny. It's Chris in the boardroom. Egon has a question, and as of right now, there's nothing in the chat asking questions, and there are no attendees with their hands raised at this point. So we'll go with Egon, and then we'll
Okay.
see if anything comes through after that. Go ahead, Egon.
Okay, yeah, okay. So that line below, right below where you got the red line, have the deficit, you have the surplus. What's the source of that surplus?
Thank you, there, Egon. The source of that surplus is operating surplus. So again, as everyone knows, the facilities were closed largely in 2020, and GRF had an operating surplus of $1.4 million. That went into your contingency fund, and we're going to be using some of that money to offset the 2022 assessments.
Well, okay, so at the last budget meeting on the 14th July, brought up a point where about the income tax thing that we paid was $500 and some thousand. So there was an account that was, and when that payment was made to the IRS, an amount of money still remained in that account, and it was approximately, I'm guessing, $900,000. So is that part of the surplus that you're looking at here?
No, that is not. We're strictly looking at the surplus from 2020. And again, 2020 yielded us operating surplus of $1.4 million that GRF has taken and put into the contingency fund.
Yeah, but I mean, how did the tax get generated? What was the source of the funds that got taxed?
So the tax, maybe Steve can speak a little bit more towards it, but it had to do with broadband sales. And what ended up happening is revenues were consistent, and however, the community elected to not renew one of the contracts as far as programming was concerned, so expenses did not come in as budgeted. So since we had more revenue than we had expense, we were taxed on that revenue.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at. Now, some of that revenue is from the monthly fee that we all pay. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so there was an excess of monthly fees because the bill wasn't reduced after. Yeah. So my question is, those are not GRF funds that were paid in by the people. So how can that part of that surplus be transferred over to GRF? There's something wrong with the accounting here. It looks like commingling of funds. I mean, I'd like a clear understanding of that at some point. I don't think we have time for it here, but I would like that to be made very clear, just what happened with respect to that.
Egon, this is Steve speaking. We can talk about it in GRF Finance meeting if you're interested, and I can give you a breakdown of exactly what happened. Everything that Jose just got done saying was exactly correct. You had set revenues, yet you had a cost reduction of about $1.5 million. So about 38% tax basis created that tax expense. But again, I can go into the details and answer those questions at the finance.
Okay, but that's the point. When the expenses were reduced, the bill should have been reduced so that the revenues would have been reduced. The bills that we get for broadband, which includes the programming, should be exactly equal to what the costs are. And apparently in this particular year, they weren't. Otherwise, the IRS is not going to tax us for stuff like assessment, only for, well, anyway, it looks to me like there's a problem here, and I'd like to have it cleared up. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. In that case, President, if I can move on to expenses, if that's okay?
Jose, we have one more question regarding this topic. It's Robert Mutchek, and I'll bring him over.
Okay, I assume you can hear me, is that correct?
Go ahead, Robert. Yep.
Okay, help me understand. I pardon my ignorance, but I'm looking at this chart on page 13, and I look at the bottom line, total basic assessment. And I look at the items all up above, and I see that I deduct $5.79 per manor per month, $8 per manor per month, $2 per manor per month. That comes up to a $15.79 per manor per month reduction with those three items. Then I take the $23 per manor per month, the $9.21, and the $5 per manor per month, and that comes up to $37.21. So if I deduct the decreases from the increases, I come up with $21.42. I'd like to understand, unless I'm missing something, how the bottom line is $12.21.
Sure, I apologize there. I tried to put in a subtotal. You might be able to see it in green on your screen, but that net operating line is a subtotal from those three lines above.
That doesn't come across that way. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh. I'm glad someone's checking my math though. Thank you. We'll move on to total expense. If we can have the next slide here. So for this category, just so we know what we're talking about, is the $41 million. This is GRF's total operating expense. And as you well know, yours is a service industry. So 62%, or in other words, $25.5 million comes from compensation. And of course, that includes salaries and wages, medical and life insurance, unemployment taxes, and so on. The next category, biggest category in expense, is the cable programming and franchise fees, accounting for $4.3 million, or 10% of total expenses. And followed by the outside services category, of $3 million, including, or some examples, I should say, are the aquatics contract, the cable TV digital end guide, the TV guide, the Village Breeds printing and graphics, GRF janitorial custodial contract, as well as credit card transaction fees are all found in that outside services category. Insurance makes up 7%, or $2.8 million, including hazard and liability and all other types of insurance like auto, property damage, those kinds of things. Followed by utilities, making up 6%, or $2.4 million. Materials and supplies accounted for $1.7 million, or 4% of total expenditures. Right. And that's the other category is 4%, including professional fees, fuel, and the cost of goods sold. Let's move on to each of those lines individually on the next slide here so we can talk about them a little bit easier. For employee compensation as well as compensation and related, I'm just gonna give you the bottom line here for that, $1,085,000. And for GRF, this is, of course, a big concern. So I want to let you know how we got here. $336,000 of this is due to the 2.5 non-union wage increase adjustments. That's the regular, I'm going to call it standard rates, but it's a merit-based raise available that's pulled together and that is available for VMS employees, non-union employees, I should say. $245,000 has to do with minimum wage increases. And as you know, minimum wage is going up federally. In 2022, the minimum wage will go up to $15 per manor per month. And that has the biggest impact on GRF out of all the mutuals because a lot of people that fall in that category work in security or in the recreation departments. So $245,000 resulting from minimum wage. $207,000 resulted from that 6.33 FTE or full-time equivalents that I described at the beginning of the presentation. So those 6 new positions accounted for $207,000. Non-union medical expense is anticipated to go up, resulting in $135,000 extra dollars, as well as union. Union has a little bit less expense in GRF because you have fewer union employees, but that does account for $68,000 there. That's a 2% union contracted wage increase there, as well as union medical, $57,000, as well as some FICA and unemployment tax. So altogether, that comes up to $1,085,000 spread across these 2 lines of employee compensation and compensation related. The next slide, materials and supplies, actually the expense went down here by $42,000. And the reason for that is the plan includes the replacement of a lot of vehicles. And as we replace the older vehicles, then we have to buy fewer materials to maintain them. The newer vehicles will hopefully break down less. Anyway, you can see a little bit of a savings there, $42,000 for materials and supplies. Cost of goods sold, this decreased by $23,000 due to reduced fuel and warehouse sales. So what ends up happening is GRF sells fuel to AgeWell at current cost, and then they charge them an administrative fee. So this has to do with that. Community events increased by $68,000, and this has to do, again, so you saw on the revenue side, you saw the positive aspect of being open for a full 12 months, but this is the expense side of things. As you know, the clubhouses run a lot of programs that don't pay for themselves. Still worthwhile, definitely something that we want residents to enjoy, but here you can see the cost of opening up those additional 2 months. On the next slide here, we'll talk about utilities, starting with electricity. Electricity is budgeted to go up $24,000, and we came up with this by taking a look at our current consumption across all the different work centers, as well as a rate increase of 3%. We took a look back historically, and historically they're raising our rates about 3%. So the total increase there is $24,000. Sewer and water, and I'll talk about them together. They are all based on historical consumption as well. Actually, sewer is a fixed cost. It doesn't change depending on usage. It really matters as far as how many sewer lines that you have, which is a fixed amount. Anyway, they have 2 different types of rate increases. One is capital and one is in operating. And together, we just got word back on July 1st that El Toro Water has increased their prices by about 4.3%. For sewer. So you can see the result there is an increase of $4,000. Water remained flat, but again, we took a look at our historical consumption and we used the projected rate increases that were given to us on that July 1st. And we're confident that water will remain flat. But of course, being said, for GRF, water is very dependent on how much it rains or doesn't rain. The majority of your water expense has to do with the golf course, and that is heavily influenced by weather. So barring any continued drought, it should be okay. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. Trash, on the other hand, did decrease by $59,000, and this has to do with trash no longer being collected from the equestrian center. Instead of paying a hauler to take out the horse debris, instead, what we're doing is we're taking that over to the composting center and reusing it there. However, rates were increased in trash a little bit, and this has to do with the recent Senate bill that just came out, Senate Bill 1383, where that makes the trash providers deal with recycling a little bit differently. They've been in negotiations with the city as far as renewing their franchise agreement, and the city has warned us and asked us to increase our budgets for trash by about 20%. Has less of an effect on GRF just because of the scope, but you'll see that pretty substantial in the mutuals as we talk about those during the end of the week. Natural gas did increase by $20,000, and that's again based on the full year consumption. We didn't budget for as much in 2021 because we assumed that it was going to be closed. The clubhouses were going to be closed for 2 months. Telephone increased by $29,000, and that's due to the increased growth of in-field data use based on current trends and advice from our IT professionals. Fuel and oil increased due to an upward trend in diesel and gas prices. That's having to do with state tax and those kinds of things. On the next slide here, you'll see electricity. I'm sorry. On the next slide, you'll see legal. One more slide. Thank you. Legal decreases by $19,000, and this has to do with better management of outside counsel. And credit has to be given here. The boards are being very judicious as far as referring things out to outside counsel. So you can see some of the savings coming through there at $19,000. Professional fees have decreased by $106,000, but I'll have you know, really what ended up happening here is we moved $180,000 from this line to 2 lines below to outside services, and that had to do with information systems, with some IT expenses moving down to outside services. That was partially offset by an increase in the need for consulting for franchise fees. We are reaching out to a consultant to help us negotiate our franchise fees to hopefully lower expense in the future. Equipment rental remained pretty flat at $2,000 decrease, and just to give you an idea of what's in that line, that includes copiers, so photocopy machines, golf carts that we lease out, of course, and fitness equipment. Outside services increased by $589,000, and that has to do with moving services to the cloud, and also an outsourced golf maintenance manager position at $134,000. Increased hours and rates in the aquatics contract. As you know, that is an outside services that runs all of our lifeguards and those kinds of things. And there's also an increased credit card transaction fees as GRFs make strides to go more digital and provide payment options to residents. It picks up a lot of those credit card transaction fees. Outside services, as you can see, is a big item there. And I just wanted to let you know what else is in that. And that includes cable TV, at $531,000 is that contract. The aquatics contract is $500,000. Bank and credit card fees are $260,000. Information services is $243,000. Village Breeze is $209,000, and the janitorial contract for the GRF facilities is $200,000. Repairs and maintenance increases $328,000, and this has to do with the software licensing costs associated with all those cloud-based apps that we use now. On the next slide, you'll see a slight decrease here in operating expense, and that's primarily due to a reduction in pest control fees of $39,000 there. Income taxes, as far as income taxes are concerned, the 2022 budget doesn't assume payment for taxes will be due. And we talked a little bit about the 2020 actual there, being $593,000. And just to let you know, we're continually taking a look at that. We're working with our tax preparer to see what can be done or if anything about that tax liability from last year. Property and sales tax, I just talked about, I apologize. Insurance, here's the headliner as far as expense is concerned on this insurance piece. And what you see on your screen here says $1.4 million increase. And I just want to take a step back and remind everyone what was happening for the 2021 budget. In 2021, it was decided that instead of paying for all of insurance out of operating, that $991,000 would be paid out of the contingency fund. So what ended up happening was the operating was kept low. The money was to come out of the contingency fund, but now as we're rectifying everything, as we are properly paying for, or I should say, as we're budgeting for insurance to be paid out of the operating budget, you see that big $1.4 million number. Again, $991,000 was in 2021 was budgeted out of the contingency fund, so really the year-over-year increase is $418,000. And that increase is due to projected higher premiums for general liability, excess liability, and auto insurance. And also this year compared to last year, meaning 2022 compared to 2021, also includes cyber insurance, which wasn't budgeted in 21. So that's, again, is the big headliner as far as expenditures are concerned. On this next slide, you'll see cable programming. And cable and programming fees increases by $289,000 due to some big networks coming up for contract negotiations in 2022. So some of the big players like Disney or NBC Universal are going to be renegotiating in 2022, and they have come out and let us know that they're expecting some pretty big increases on those. So that's where you can see the increase there. As far as net allocations to mutuals, net allocations are higher in 2022. So basically what this line is, it's a share of all of GRF's costs getting pushed up to the mutuals. And as you've seen, expenses are going up. Excuse me, so this line is a reflection of that. As expenses go up for GRF, they're passing on some of the costs to the mutuals. This particular line is the revenue that GRF gets from the mutuals. Uncollectible accounts, slightly better than 2021 by $3,000, just based off of experience. And gain and loss on sale is kept the same as 2021. So that concludes the expense portion of our business plan. If you go one more slide here. The next portion is surplus and recovery. Do you want to pause for questions, Madam President, or shall I go on? All right. Hearing none and seeing no questions, I'll go on to surplus and deficit recovery. I can have one more slide, please. So we talked a little bit at length as far as what this is, and I just want to point out that this hasn't been utilized in several years. But what it is we're taking some of that 2020 operating surplus that GRF ended up with. Again, it was $1.4 million that GRF ended up with. All of that money was put into the contingency fund, which we'll show here in a couple of slides. And we're going to use some of that money to offset the 2022 business plan to ease some of that to the tune of $8 per man per month, as you can see on your screen. Next slide, please. All right, the final portion of our business plan has to do with the reserve and contingency funds, and we'll cover those briefly as we move forward here. So next slide. On reserves, you can see that the contribution to reserves is proposed to decrease from $2.9 million to $2.6 million. So what we're saying is it's supposed to go from $19 to $17. And I talked about this at the beginning of our presentation, but if you do take a peek at the Green Book was expecting us to go from $19 in 2021 to $24, and we were able to avoid that by the decision that GRF made, or I should say that the assumption is that the transfer fee will go from $5,000 to $7,500 per eligible transaction. To give you an idea, that generates an additional $1.9 million for GRF's reserve funds that way. So taking all that into consideration, the contribution was able to go from $19 to $17. So you see a $2 per man per month savings there. And in the contingency fund, again, we talked about it, but the contingency fund took a little bit of a double whammy in 2021. Not only did we not contribute to anything to the contingency fund, but we also planned for that $991,000 of insurance premiums to be paid from the contingency fund. And we believe it's in GRF's best interest to keep a contingency fund for rainy days or for anything that's not otherwise identified in the business plan. And to that end, we recommend reestablishing that $5 per man per month contribution there. I can have the next slide, please. Here you can take a look at the reserve funds and see what the projected balances are. Again, currently in 2021, we're contributing $19 per man per month. It's set to go to $17, but the big offset there is going to be that transfer fee amount going from $5,000 to $7,500. I was thinking probably the most important part of this chart is over on the right-hand side. This is where we project your ending balances of the reserve funds to be. So you can see that they stay above the $18 million mark for a couple of years and then dip down as low as $11 and $12 million. GRF has, or historically I should say, we have threshold funding, meaning there has been a threshold established by prior boards that we've been asked not to go below. That is currently set at $7.5 million. And if I can have one more slide, please. On here, this is the same numbers, just put together in a little bit of a different way. You can see the next 5 years all the way down to 30 years out. you can see that we're projecting that the assessment will likely stay the same or roughly the same for the next 30 years. But yet GRF will still be able to meet its reserve needs, and again, having to do a lot with this transfer fee. The transfer fee going to $7,500. But getting back to my threshold there, the threshold is $7.5 million, and it's set to increase. It's set to increase by inflation every year. So I guess the point that it gets the lowest is around 2027, where your total balances are going to be about $10.3 million, and even at that point, your threshold is still about $8.5 million. So you're well above your threshold there. So I wanted to show it to you both in a chart and on this next slide here. It's kind of in a picture, and again, the same numbers. The green would represent the reserve balances, how much money you have in the fund, and the red is the threshold. And I will take a minute to say that this is something that GRF imposes on itself. There is no legal duty to have any threshold other than you can't go below $0. But we still believe it's a good idea to keep some money in the bank just in case of a rainy day. But either way, with this reserve plan, GRF looks to be doing pretty well. We can have one more slide, please. I want to take a minute and talk about the contingency fund. But before I do, I just wanted to provide some history as far as the contingency fund is concerned. You can see here for the last several years of where the fund has ended the year, somewhere between $500,000 and in 2020, $1 million. So that's where the contingency fund has been historically. And let's take a look and see what's happening this year on the next slide. In 2021, I pulled the most recent financial statements, which were the June 30th statements. And as of June 30th, the contingency fund had $1.1 million. GRF has recently approved the 2020 surplus of $1.4 million to be transferred into the contingency fund. That journal entry has been made, and you'll be able to see the reflected in your July operating statement. So it'll get that $1.4 million there from that surplus. However, the insurance premium of $992,000 is to be paid from the contingency fund, so you see the expenditure there. There's also a couple other items that are still remaining encumbrances out of the contingency fund. Just so you know, there's cyber insurance, they're having to do with the COVID-19 vaccine program. Anyway, $76,000 of remaining encumbrances there. There's also some legal expenses that GRF is going to be paying out by the end of the year. Those are going to come out of the contingency fund there to the tune of about $600,000. So once it all shakes out, we project that the contingency fund will end the year at about $847,000, which is in line with some of the history that we saw on the previous slide. So if we can have the next slide, please. So what does that mean for 2022? Well, we're going to start 2022 with that 847 that we just showed on the last slide. In 2022, we proposed that you contribute $5 per member per month. That's $764,000 that you see there. We also proposed that you take $8 per member per month for your operating surplus. Transfer the money over to operating to pay for it that way. We're reducing your assessment by that by that $8 per member per month. So that's that $1.2 million that you see on your screen. Also, we've taken a look, and historically speaking, GRF spends about $180,000 out of the contingency fund on any given year. So we assume that 2022 will be a typical year. So we put in a $200,000 expense there. And we also assume that in the current year, you're going to be able to run an operating surplus. We believe that the operating surplus in the current year will end the year at about $1 million. If that comes to fruition, then you'll be able to transfer that money into the contingency fund. And once 2022 rolls around, you'll be able to end the year at almost $1.2 million, which again is right around what the balances have been historically. So that's how we came up to those contingency funds contributions. If we can have the next slide here, it's just the summary again that we keep reverting back to. The 2021 plan compared to the 2022 plan, again, an increase of $12.21, 5.9%. And again, I cannot stress enough that insurance is beyond anyone's control, really, and that was a $9.21 increase coming from insurance. So that really leaves just a $3 per month increase year over year, excluding insurance. And that concludes this portion of the presentation. If there are any questions, I can try to answer.
We have one attendee that would like to speak, and I don't see any board members that would like to speak. So we'll go with the attendee.
Hi, I'm curious about the facilities fee. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
The facilities fee is going to increase to $7,500, correct? Is that correct?
That's the proposal, yes.
Okay, and that is a membership fee basically for Laguna Woods?
Correct.
Then if you're already a member living here, why do we have to pay for it to transfer from one area to another, say from one address to another?
It's, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. That's based upon the policy, the resolution that prior GRF boards basically have the transfer fee connected to property. Okay, but
that doesn't make it right.
Well, and I'm not disagreeing with you. We are going to bring it to the board to review this again.
This needs to be brought up ASAP because I know people won't even move in here because of that amount.
Well, as you know, finance will tell you, and Jim Hopkins will tell you, we are in line with Seal Beach and other properties.
Hello,
Okay.
we do not live at the beach.
We are in line with other properties, say like Seal Beach, okay, that has a trust fund like we do, and also up north property. Seal Beach charges $7,500.
They live at the beach, though. They're closer to the beach. Laguna Woods isn't. This is member transfer fee. If I'm already a member, I should not have to pay it again.
All I'm going to say is we're going to look at it.
And what date were you planning on looking at this?
We'll bring it up maybe next board.
Can you
I'm not quite sure. Okay, I don't want to be pressured here. I'm saying that we are going to look at it, okay? And there's quite a bit involved in looking at it. And that means legal has to look at it. All the data has to be looked at. So the intention, and I'm not going to say the plan, the intention is to bring it up at our next board meeting to address it.
Okay, I'll be watching the next board meeting. I'm counting on you, Bunny.
We try.
Well, a lot of people try. But
Yeah. Just Bunny, if I can add, this issue has been brought up before. I mean, the changing the amount doesn't change the issue. So this issue has been brought up, and we do need to address it. And it'll be in full discussion. I believe you had it targeted for the next board meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have Carl Randazzo who would like to speak as well.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just going to bring up the question because it's going to get raised. And I just want to clear the air, and I think Mr. Hopkins has the answer. But the issue right now is the fact that Jose had indicated that there was a threshold of $7-point-something million for the reserve fund, and yet we will be having $17 million in that fund. Now, the perception is that we've got $10 million more than what we really need to have, and or so, okay? And that's the perception that and I think we need to somehow quell that perception, because at this particular point in time, there's approximately $10 million on the table that we have to basically put against this budget for next year. That's the perception. I'm just saying. So I think we need to say something about that. Thank you.
If I may, President.
If I may, I had given a couple of presentations before, and as Jose pointed out, threshold is a number set by the board. And as pointed out by you, Carl, in any given year, we may plan, because of the way schedules come up, we may plan to spend $13 million or even more, depending on what's up required to be spent. So the threshold really is an artificial, let me back off. It's not artificial. It's been set by the board. However, depending on the type of HOA, there are some that have no threshold, and some thresholds are recommended at 100% of total replacement cost. So we picked somewhere down at the low end, and we will continue to study that. In fact, we have a study authorized for the upcoming year, where we have a professional company with both engineering as well as financial background come in and estimate what our future needs will be, just based on the age and the condition and of our $140 million worth of assets. The other thing is, I would encourage everyone to pretty soon, maybe within a month, we'll have an article in the Breeze which talks about how we allocate reserves and how we plan for them. And I think you'll be intrigued by the amount of planning and projection that it takes to project 30 years worth of reserve requirements. It's not simple.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure the air got cleared on that, because I don't want that sitting there as, oh yeah, we got $10 million. We really don't. But I wanted somebody on GRF to say something about it, because it needed to be said. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There are no more questions.
Director Carpenter, also, typically what we do during this version 3 meeting is we also go back and we review the capital plan items, just for the benefit of those listening at home. We can certainly do that on a slide basis. We have a whole slide deck to show, or if you want, we can just show the summary of that. I'm ready to do whatever you need.
Please go ahead, Jose.
All right. In that case, Chris, can I load up your next presentation there? And my apologies here. We're going to go over the capital proposal for 2022. The capital proposals have come through and have been reviewed a couple of times already. So I'm going to go through them kind of fast, because there's about 50 proposals in all. But I promise to get through them as fast as I can. But of course, I'll take the time to answer any questions that may come up. And Chris, let me know when you're ready.
1 second's coming up.
Or
We're waiting for the presentation.
yes, 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Jose?
Thank you. Yes.
In the previously in the Q&A, Sue Stevens had a question about security services budget. And since, before you jump into capital, I was wondering if we could go back and address that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I believe that the question had to do with how we allocate security. And basically, security is almost all a GRF function, and we use the same allocation percentages for security as well as compliance. However, we do take about 3% each for United and Third, and that's having to do with United and Third specific items that security does, such as coin collecting and those kinds of things. So the majority of the allocation for security and compliance both come out of the GRF, and United and Third pay a much smaller. And then I think the second half of her question had to do with why there's a negative allocation to United and Third for compliance. And that had to do with the revenue that United and Third generate directly based on fees and based on violation fees. So there's a small negative amount there for United and Third for those. Okay. Is that good? Can I jump into this?
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So on the screen here, you're taking a look for 2022. We went through each of the departments and had them submit what needs to happen or what kind of capital expenditures are going to happen in 2022. And on your pie chart here on the screen, you can see where all the different expenditures come from. We'll talk about each of them in detail. I just want to let you know that this is the exact same presentation that you've seen before, except with the addition of $25,000 for a GRF contracted reserve study. Jim was speaking about that as far as what's going to happen with our reserves. The reserve study has always been done in-house by staff. However, every now and again, it's a good idea to get an outside perspective. And there is a firm that has engineers that can come out, engineers and finance people that can come out and take a look at GRS assets, take a look at the state of the assets and what expenditures are planned for the next 30 years. We highly encourage GRF to do that, and to that end, $25,000 has been placed in the capital plan here for that purpose. So that is the only difference from this and some previous slides that have been shared. So if I can have in the next slide here. I do want to let you know also, if you take a look at the Green Book, if you will, is the darker gray here, is the bottom section of this. According to the Green Book, we were supposed to spend $13 million in 2022. However, as staff has gone through and the boards have worked diligently to reduce that figure, in 2022, we are proposing $7.3 million in CIP, which we'll go through. And you can see on down the line there for 2023, 24, 5, and 6, how the current plan compares to last year's plan. And on the next slide here, you can see these same figures in a pictorial format again. The orange is the CIP, meaning that's the existing plan. The yellow was what the plan looked like last year. And on the next slide here, we'll show that it's $5.8 million less than we expected that plan to be. And we also have a list here of some of the postponements, some of the items that were moved from 2022 beyond. So Clubhouse 1, for example, the assessment was previously in 2022, but it was moved to 2023 and 24 for $4.2 million. As far as the Part 3 course, the irrigation renovation, that was moved to 23 and 24, split evenly. The network server and hardware, that was moved to 2024. The network server was moved to 2023. The server was moved to 2023, the hardware was moved to 2026, and the irrigation component was moved to 2023. So this is along the lines at the very beginning of our meeting, Jim was talking about some of these big expenditures weren't eliminated, they were just moved. That's true, those are the items that were moved or that were postponed. However, on this next slide, we can see that there were some deletions. And specifically when it comes to the community center emergency generator, that was taken away at $300,000 savings. Golf course starter shacks was removed at $200,000. fleet management system was removed at $200,000, and we did have a couple of additions, including $1.5 million for financial software and $175,000 for the website replacement. So on that backstop, we'll move on and we'll to the next slide, and we'll show you where each of these things happen. So let me know if you want me to slow down or speed up, but here I go. On the next slide, one more slide, please. This is the Pool 5 cover. This is, one more slide, $9,000 for the Pool 5 slide cover. The existing cover has reached the end of its useful life, and it's in poor condition, and it's used, so you can save some money on the heating of the pool. So they put the blanket on at night, so it conserves some electricity, natural gas that way. $9,000 is the total spend on that cover. The next area is the broadband services area. Chris, one more slide. And here is a listing of those items in broadband services, including set-top boxes, infrastructure, signal receivers and transcoders, UPS batteries, and village television studio equipment. On the next slide here, we'll take a look at set-top boxes. Set-top boxes, the recommendation here is $300,000 to purchase 1,000 new boxes. And the reason we need boxes is twofold. One, they're getting more and more use out there, meaning people are either getting boxes for the first time or buying additional boxes for additional rooms. So as more boxes are required, GRF needs to have them available. And also, the boxes don't last forever. They have a 10-year useful life. And when they get to the end of their useful life, we need to have something to be able to offer residents. Side note here, we collect rental fees on these. So GRF is the beneficiary of all that rental that it takes in from leasing out these set-top boxes. The next slide. Cable TV infrastructure, the recommendation here is for $250,000. And when we're talking about this is we're talking about those big metal boxes in the ground, the 32 nodes, 70 volts, pedestals, lock boxes, and 15 miles of underground fiber. The existing stuff is 20 years old and has reached the end of its serviceable life. So the recommendation is here is to replace it at a cost of $250,000. Next slide. Signals, receivers, and transcoders. The recommendation here is $25,000. The existing transcoders are 15 years old and have reached the end of their useful life. And so it's time to replace them at a cost of $25,000. The next slide is for UPS batteries for power supplies, and UPS is uninterrupted power supply. And this acts as a set of batteries. Think of your laptop, if you will. If it unfortunately becomes unplugged, it can still stay on and without any disruption. That's the way these UPS batteries work. However, they power 53 cable power plants to have standby operation for 5 to 6 hours. These are items that need to be replaced every 5 or so years, just to make sure that we don't lose power for those things that they charge. And on the next slide here, we have village television studio equipment. What we're really talking about here is that news desk that you see on Channel 6. The existing desk was purchased in the 80s, and it was renovated in 2000 and again in 2016. But at this point, it can no longer be renovated. In fact, it can't even be moved anymore because of its frailty. So for aesthetic reasons and really for practical reasons, we recommend replacement at $17,500. Next slide, please. The ENG cameras, they are 10 years old. ENG, by the way, I had to look this up. I didn't know. Electronic news gathering cameras, and these are the cameras that are used to put together commercials for Media Services 55. They have a 5-year life expectancy, and again, they're 10 years old, so it's time to replace those so we can put together some good commercials so we can make sure that we have some good advertising sales here. On the next slide here, you'll see the next category is clubhouses, and there are 2 items in the realm of clubhouses. One is the Clubhouse 1 assessment renovation, and also the Clubhouse 5 stage curtains. So on the next slide, we'll jump to that Clubhouse 1 assessment renovation. And just a little bit of background here. This is the most visited recreational amenity in the village with approximately 226,000 visits per year. And in 2021, a programmatic study was ordered to summarize the utilization of the current space and to maximize its utilization and to see how we're best going to do it. Just to let you know, though, that 1.25, that $1.25 million that you're taking a look at on the screen is for renovation and really for the assessment portion of it. The renovation is scheduled to take place during 2023 and 2024, and the cost on that is budgeted to be another $9.25 million for a total of $10.5 million for this clubhouse. Of course, we're going to first take a look at and see what comes from this assessment before any direction is officially taken. But that is the reason that this money is being recommended, so that we can create a good assessment and a timeline and put everything before the board before any of that real construction begins. So again, the recommendation here is $1.25 million for the Clubhouse 1 assessment renovation. On the next slide, please. To a much smaller extent, the Clubhouse 5 stage curtains, they are 23 years old. They are velour, and the fire retardant treatment has seen the extent of its useful life. The new curtains are synthetic with a lifetime application of fire retardant. The cost on that replacement is $27,000. The next section is computers, and for computers, there are 3 submittals here. One is for financial software at $1.5 million, the website at $175,000, and also a CAD plotter for $8,000. So as far as financial software is concerned, on the next slide, we can see one more slide, Chris. It's $1.5 million, and this has to do with the investigation, selection, and development for the new financial software. Obviously, this is something that GRF is very concerned with, so it has begun the Information Technology Advisory Committee that's studying this from start to finish to make sure that whatever system is chosen is going to be all-encompassing and that it's going to suit the needs of the boards. So there's going to be a lot that goes into this because we want to make sure and get the right system for our communities here. But the existing funding of it is recommended to be $1.5 million. All right. The next slide is the website. The website is recommended to be $175,000, and this is just in an effort to make sure that we are answering residents. There's a lot of difficulty finding website information. There's a lot of difficulty accessing what they're trying to find. So a revamp of the website would cost $175,000 to make sure that we get a good, useful product. On the next slide, please, we have the CAD format plotter, and the recommendation there is for $8,000. The existing one is 20 years old and has reached the end of its useful life, so we recommend replacing it at $8,000. Next section is fitness. For fitness, there are 2 submittals, one for treadmills and one for trainers. On the treadmills, the recommendation is to replace 3 treadmills. The ones that we're planning on recommending to replace are 14 and 15 years old. Typical lifespan is 7 or 8 years on these, so staff gets really get your money's worth by keeping them as long as we do, but at some point, it just becomes too labor intensive and the downtimes are pretty severe. So we want to replace those to make sure that we're providing a good experience over at the fitness centers. And on the next slide, it's the same story for the ellipticals. The elliptical being replaced here. This is for one elliptical, $5,000 for a 13-year-old elliptical. And just so you know, as they come out to repair them, not only is the repairs costly, but they're also time consuming and the machines are down. So again, it's a good idea to replace those. On the next slide, we see the one submittal for a rough mower coming from the golf facilities department. And if you go one more slide, I'll let you know that the current rough mower is 11 years old and has already been rebuilt once. And landscape is especially good at rebuilding their items time and time again. As they refurbish them, it's a little bit cheaper than having to replace them, but at some point you do have to pay the piper. You can only refurbish it so long before you're essentially replacing it anyway. And this particular mower has gotten to that spot. It's $87,000, and this is for the mower used for the roughs. On the next slide here, we'll continue on with landscape. Landscape has some irrigation, some utility loaders, and a series of mowers that we'll be talking about. So let's get started with centralized irrigation on the next slide. Centralized irrigation, the recommendation here is for $200,000. And just to let you know, this is year 3 of a 5-year replacement plan. The existing irrigation system was installed in 2001, and so it's 20 years old. So we're taking the next few years, or you already started a couple of years back, but with year 3 out of 5-year replacement on these. So we recommend you put in $200,000 in the budget so we can continue with this renovation. On the next slide, we have some utility loaders, and the utility loaders are basically the little tractors with the buckets in the front of them. Anyway, the ones that are going to be replaced are 19 years old and were rebuilt 8 years ago. So after having rebuilt them, they need to be rebuilt again 8 years later. The cost on that is going to be $60,000. On the next couple of slides, it's going to be talking about mowers, and they have the same idea here. The current mowers for these walk-behind mowers were purchased in 2014, so they're 7 years old, and 3 of them need to be replaced. On the next slide, it's the 48-inch laser lawn mowers, and there's also 3 of these that are going to be replaced at a total cost of $30,000. The 3 that are going to be replaced on this one were actually purchased in the 90s, so more than 20 years ago. The next slide. 60-inch laser lawnmower, same idea, $12,000 on this one since it's a little bit bigger. On the next slide, we have a listing of other equipment, and occasionally there is unforeseen or unplanned building maintenance equipment that requires replacement during the year after this capital plan has been approved. And by including some contingencies in here for unforeseen miscellaneous tools and equipment can be purchased by the different departments in a timely manner without having to defer any service or without having to have any interruptions. And you can see here we have 3 areas where we recommend that for building maintenance, for maintenance services, and for fleet. Total cost there is $130,000 for those. On the next slide, this is a listing of other GRF facilities, and here you can see Building E is what we'll talk about: slope renovation, miscellaneous projects, trader, the GRF reserve study, which we talked about at length here, garden center, 2 roofs, and equestrian. So let's start by talking about Building E. And Building E, we recommend renovation of $200,000. And if I can go actually one more slide here, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. On the next slide. Here's the Building E. This is where the Building E holds the it holds security and landscape, and you can see some of the movement evidence there. It's in rough shape. They do recommend a $200,000 renovation on this. It's a 5,300 square foot building, but you can see it's definitely seen better days. Next slide, please. Slope renovation is recommended at $153,000 and change here, and that's to renovate 830,000 square feet of slopes. And again, the next slide will show us a little bit of what we're talking about. And you can see the before and after pictures there. That location, by the way, is over on Aliso around the S8 area. The next slide, please. Miscellaneous projects is recommended at $125,000, and same as equipment, but this time for facilities. If something comes up in the middle of the year, instead of having to take a long time, projects up to $25,000 can be completed at the discretion of the CEO. And to give you an idea of what some of the recent projects have been, there have been pool plastering, There's been a community center boiler repair. There's been repair of doors at the community center. So those are the types of projects that we're talking about, something that is, I wouldn't call it an emergency, but certainly time sensitive, that can be completed without any interruption. It's a good thing. The next slide, please, is the trailer for the office space over at the nursery. The recommendation here is for $50,000 to replace that 20-foot trailer. The current trailer is more than 20 years old, so you can imagine it's not weather tight and there's dry rot issues. So $50,000 to replace that. On the next slide here, we talk about the GRF reserve study, which we've talked about at length. And again, the company will be outsourced to come in and determine what other needs or to help us fine-tune our assumptions here on the GRF reserve study. Next slide, please, is Garden Center 2 roofs at $18,000. They are 27 years old and in need of repair. Next slide. The next slide is for the equestrian hay barn, the siding, the enclosure there for $6,000. So the structure currently does have a roof, but adding siding is going to help maintain that hay and other feed a little bit fresher and just give it a better aesthetic overall. For $6,000, it's a good investment. On the next slide here, we can take a look at the paving. And in the area of paving, I mean paving and concrete repair and seal coat. So let's go through those individually. Asphalt paving is, next slide please, is $598,000, and this has to do with nearly 230,000 square feet of paving. The life on paving is about 25 years, and we obviously do what we can to maintain it, but once it reaches the end of its life, it's fairly costly to repair and replace it. And on the next slide here, we have concrete. As they're doing that paving, they're also doing the concrete that's alongside the paving, just for a more aesthetic look, and also just to better utilize resources and be complete with an entire area all at once. The recommendation there is for $200,000 to do with the paving. And on this next slide here is the last of the paving recommendations here, and that is for $105,000 for slurry seal. And this seal coat program, as our old director used to say, is the best money you can throw at it. It's really pennies on the dollar as far as sealing is concerned. You can see that's 879,000 square feet that they're doing, and by doing this, you avoid having to replace the whole thing at once. So good use of your funds there at $105,000. The next area is security. I promise I'm rounding third here. As far as security is concerned, there are some Gate 12 security upgrades. There's the HVAC, shepherd's crooks, as well as the radar signs. So moving on to gate security. This has to do with the license plate recognition technology, and this is something that is pretty important. We, as you know, partner with local law enforcement, and when there is an issue, they often come to us and say, well, what kind of surveillance do you have, what kind of footage? And by having this type of software, it lets us really crack down on some of the bad things that are going on in the village, and this is it's just another tool here that's going to not only help us, but also law enforcement and everyone get to a nicer, better, safer place. On the next slide here, threw in a picture of a gate. So here's a Gate 12 security upgrade. On the next slide here, you have a security building HVAC system for $65,000, and the existing one was installed a long time ago in 1996, and it's reaching the end of its life expectancy. We want to make sure that those folks over in that security building are kept cool, and the existing one doesn't really heat or it doesn't really cool all the offices. And you know, as you would imagine, there have been a lot of technological advances in HVAC, so the new system will be a lot more energy efficient. So that'll be a good thing. On the next slide here, you can see Shepherd's Crook. It's a $35,000 recommendation to install 300 lineal feet. This for 2022, we're talking about the Gate 3 area. You can see a picture there of the completed Shepherd's Crook. And the next slide is, may not be your most favorite. I know it's not mine. It's the solar power radar signs as I'm driving a little too fast on the community. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just there as a reminder, and I know as I drive by them, it helps me slow down. So the purpose, of course, is to keep everyone safe in the community. So $10,000 there for 2 portable traffic monitoring devices is a good investment to everyone's safety. The next and final category here is vehicles. And vehicles, you can see there it's a $1.4 million recommendation, including replacements and additions. On the next slide here, when it comes to vehicles, I wanted to make you aware we have 375 total vehicles that make up our fleet. We have quite an extensive fleet, including security and pickup trucks and vans and such. We also have specialty equipment like lifts, scissors, sweepers, and chippers of 37. So quite a healthy fleet here for your community. And on the next slide here, we do show that out of those, one back please, back one. On these 375 vehicles, 142 of them, or 38%, have met the end of their life expectancy. However, we're continuing to maintain them. Sometimes they look a little rougher on the edges, but we're doing the best we can. We're not submitting all 142 for replacement in 2022, but I do want to make everyone aware that a lot of the vehicles have reached the end of their useful life, and you can see the frequency there on your screens. On the next slide here, I do want to make note that staff does take a look at EV or electric vehicles anytime we can. Specifically, we're looking at some pickup trucks and some transit vans. We also analyze any benefits of lease versus buy. This is not something that's automatic or that we take lightly. We understand that it's a lot of money that goes into these things, but for example, by taking into consideration electric vehicles, the estimates out there are that you can save $2,000 per vehicle that you do use an electric vehicle for. So anytime that we can justify that, we certainly do. But everything is looked at individually. So on this next slide here, you'll see the list of replacement vehicles. So all these vehicles that you see here on your screen have reached the end of their serviceable life. They're being replaced in like kind. So a bus for bus, a truck for truck. And you can see that the total on these replacement vehicles is $1.3 million. I'll let you take a look at that for a second, and then I'll direct your eye to the next slide, which is the additions. In addition to those replacement vehicles, we do have a few additional vehicles that are proposed to be purchased, I should say. And these are all going to go into our landscape area. And just so you know, landscape there went through some reorganization, and they were separated from all other crews. And the new work center, Work Center 510, is part of the reorganization, and it has a new crew that came from different crews that had been already on there. And they've been using vehicles from Section 1, which has been outsourced. And Section 1 now is being manually maintained by our crews, leaving us short on some transportation for the crew. Additionally, one of the things that I talked about at the beginning of my last presentation was that you're getting an additional pest control person, and that person is going to need some rolling equipment to be able to do his or her job as well. So that is the total of the vehicle additions, and that brings me to the end of the 2022 capital proposals. I want to make everyone aware of that. So with that being said, we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
So are there any questions, Chris?
So there are no hands raised by any of the attendees, and there are questions in the chat box. Let me go through them real quick. Gan had a question. Stephanie Brown has a question. And those are the only two, so I'll bring them over. We'll go with Stephanie first and then Gan.
Yeah. I had some questions regarding the timing of clubhouse one renovation and rehabilitation. I see that it has been postponed to 2023, and it is saying that assessment. We have finished assessment in the year 2019-2020 timeframe. So I was expecting that we could do better in timing if we really put together our efforts and see what we need to do at CH1. Eventually, I have gotten some answers in the meantime in the chat box and some comments. Based on that, I think we should pick up this issue in the MNC committee and resolve what we want to do, and then staff can help us in getting there. So for the time being, I would like to keep it as it is, and then talk to chair of the MNC committee again and develop our strategy. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Thank you. Debbie responded in part to my comment, suggesting that this might not be the time or place to bring this question up. Although she didn't, she said, so my question has to do with if you go down the list of items in the Green Book and add up all the expenses associated with the broadcast channels, from the broadcast, all the different line items that add up to what it costs us, including the set-top boxes that we then turn around and rent out to the residents, how much would we save if we were to eliminate the channels, our own internal broadcast, and just let our residents go out to outside providers like we would outside the gates? How would we calculate how much the HOA dues would be reduced by removing that service from our community? Is that an easy question to answer? I know you can just add up the line item. Okay, Buddy's saying no, it's not an easy question to answer. I'm just curious about the savings to the community that we could have on a per matter per month basis, because we'd reduce the set-top rentals for those that are renting it, and we would reduce theoretically some HOA dues, because we wouldn't have the expense of our internal channel, and then we could all go out and buy our own providers, whether it be streaming or otherwise. And just thought that might be easier to answer than the smiles I'm getting are suggesting.
No, Stephanie, if I can, the financial answer is very simple. Actually, the Green Book actually contains, I think, the per man or per month of the net broadband fees. I think more than that is, we own broadband and we bought it some time ago. And if it were to be turned loose with that and internet, the question is how per matter per month may go down, but the fees to the residents would go way up to purchase on the outside. So that's an ongoing question. I think it deserves a lot more of an answer than that, but financially it's easily calculated. But it's not, the answer itself in terms of what should be done is not so simple.
So does anyone else want to chime in regards to, we have reports, we've had a study, and it looks like Eileen would like to speak to that. So Eileen, go ahead.
Thank you, Bunny. Well, one of the things I want to remind everyone is that your broadband services go hand in hand in including your internet. So that infrastructure that you own that's all snaked underground all throughout the community provides both. So there are quite a few commingled expenses, but you're absolutely right. We paid a significant amount of money to bring in the broadband group a year ago to evaluate the system, and they rated it as very outstanding, one of the best systems they'd seen anywhere. But what you have to remember is cable is sunsetting, and we know that. We know that's happening. We know that in some cases it's less expensive to actually subscribe to some of our channels directly through streaming. And that's why we just brought in the broadband group effective last week. We approved a study, and Stephanie, it would probably take us a good 10 hours to go through the whole thing with you, and that's why you're getting a lot of shaking heads and kind of chuckles, but I would welcome you to listen in or participate. We have a broadband working group, which is actually an assigned group, but we also are discussing this very extensively at Media and Communications. But it's not all as black and white as it seems. When you heard about the cameras, that's really not part of broadband. That's part of TV6, which is a little bit different than our cable operations, just as far as how it affects the costs to everyone. But it's a very big question. It's something that's changing much more quickly than any of us has expected. And there's pros and cons to both, to mingling revenue and expense back and forth. So we're taking a very long, hard look at it, and I would welcome any other person listening in. We meet the third Monday of the month at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Okay. Egon's had his hand up for quite some time.
Thank you. So I wanted, more than questions, I wanted to make a couple of comments. I realize that this is a summary presentation, but at somewhere along the way, we need to get a better handle, a more clear understanding of what Stephanie brought up, where we say, hey, you telling me this has this and this much expense. On the other hand, it also has some revenue income. Well, if we're going to make that statement, then have that revenue income on the same page so you can, so you don't have to go digging through lots of past presentations or the green book to see it. The other comment I got is we mentioned a pool cover for about 5, and you went into some good detail on it, and it was excellent detail on that little pool for $6,000. But you didn't give us much detail on the financial software for $1.5 million. I think that could have got a few more words. Those were just examples. I'm saying in general, focus on the big items and give us more detail of how it benefits us. The other thing I want to say is, and this is not just specific here, but in general, we have to be less cavalier about just how we're allocating this money. So people are going, oh, well, gee, no problem. We're going to raise the facility fee from $5,000 to $7,500. Okay. And we just go, whoopee, we just solved a whole bunch of problems that were nagging us elsewhere. And that's not right. That's taking real money out of people the day before they get here. And I remember specifically this year, the fee was still a lot smaller. And I want to tell you something. I'd gone through all of the stuff on the ESCO things until I got to the bottom. They said, oh, by the way. So, I'm not going to not buy a house by this time. But again, and the reason that's a meaningful amount of money, I think it's entirely justifiable because people are buying into an existing community. And that's something else that should be explained clearly why that fee is there and how it benefits the community as a whole and why it is a reasonable thing to charge when people are coming in. So my comments are just, we could improve the process a lot and you'd get a lot better understanding and then less pushback on the fees if people had a clear picture of it. And we should try to give them a week. Thank you.
So I turn it back over to Chris. Are there any other questions?
I see no other questions. I see no other questions, Bunny.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. So the next item is director comments. So do we have any director comments before we close? Debbie.
I want to address what Egon just said. And the reason why there wasn't a lot of detail on the financial software is that the ITAC committee, we just met for the very first time. So we don't have, that is just a number that was proposed, but there isn't any detail to share with you yet. But we will, of course, share as we move along. The other thing is, to Bunny's point and to people's comments, the $7,500 was proposed, and it's been a topic we've mentioned, and we're not done discussing it because there is a difference of opinion. But if you look at the Green Book, right now we're doing $17 per man or per month in this proposed budget. If you look at the Green Book from 2021 and look a couple years ahead, that number would be $34 a month. So that's double what we're proposing today if we did not raise the transfer fee. And believe me, I'm struggling with the transfer fee increase too. So don't get me wrong. But I'm just looking also at $34 per man or per month in a few years versus the $17 and being able to extend that a little bit longer at a lower cost if we were to raise the transfer fee. So we're not done talking about that yet either. What I think everybody also needs to understand is we've been meeting for months about these budgets. And even though I've only been on GRF a short time, I've been attending these meetings regularly for months and all the budget trainings. We're not deciding today to accept these numbers still. We've been whittling them down, sharpening our pencils and stuff. So, you know, we appreciate everybody's input today, of course. And, you know, we're all residents too, just like Jim said earlier. We're trying to do what we can. So we're not done talking. We're still listening. We haven't voted anything in yet. So keep the faith, everybody. We're trying. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Egon.
So when, I don't know, Debbie says we're not done yet, but we're pretty doggone close, I thought. And I don't know how many more meetings we have or what we could change. You know, if we accept $7,500 that's there now, then you're going to have a big increase elsewhere. And that $12 that everybody's griping about is going to turn into 22 or 32 or something like that. And we'll join third on the uphill climb. The one other statement that I said I wanted to have included, I want people to understand that this is proposed spending. We've got to put that in the Green Book. These are not automatic, what should I say, obligations that we undertake on behalf of the residents. Debbie pointed out the $1.5 million for the computer system or software is just a holding number. So we need to put that clearly into the Green Book because in the past we've had problems with that. That being said, because of time, we have to put this to bed at some point. All next year, as these projects come up, should be taking a careful look at them. There are definitely places where we can redo it. And that cannot be done until you do the detail work, which we will certainly try to do. For my part, that's what I plan.
Thank you, Egon. Are there any other comments? Jim?
Yeah, I'd like to thank VMS Finance and VMS Organization for putting together a lot of information for us to comprehend. I really appreciate what they've done this year in terms of educating us and helping us to get through a very, very unique and difficult budget process. So again, thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, and I have to thank staff again. They basically listened to the board, and the board said we want more information. We want to know what's in our budget, and they provided that. So I for one, am very thankful. Did you want to say something, Maggie? I saw you.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think we should be aware that when we started the fee, it was called a transfer fee. not a facilities fund fee. It is a transfer fee. It is an escrow-related fee. It doesn't matter who the citizen is in the USA who buys it. It could be your neighbor. It could be a person from Korea. They are all treated the same as far as we are standing now. They are all treated the same in the transfer fees. Whether we can give preference to our residents who are buying one from another is a different question. So that would be a preferential, that would be a preference to them, would be excusing them from that. I think the main one who urged this whole thing was Catherine Freshler, who probably knows a whole lot more about it than I do. And I would think we need to talk it over with her and with the attorneys, because it was not called the facilities fund fee until later, when I think it was meant to explain to residents why we use the money or where we use the money. But it is actually an escrow fee suitable for every transaction. Also, it has been $9,000 at Walnut Creek for every transfer, every time for at least 10 years. I have documents back who knows when. So this is not a fee that fluctuates for between in and out and up and down. I mean, it's still $9,000 at Walnut Creek. And the fact that Seal Beach is not near Seal Beach, I don't care. The beach is not an attribute for that community as far as I'm concerned. So, but I think we need to look that up a little bit and check with our attorney whether we can discriminate against outsiders who wish to buy in here and charge them a transfer fee when we don't charge our residents a transfer fee. So those are my thoughts. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Is there anyone else? Let's see. This was, okay. Well, there was a question in there, and basically says, yes, it has increased. And we know that. We know that it's increased. And the staff has been helping me find all the history and all the resolutions that are associated with the transfer fee. And that's why we're taking that information to our lawyer, and we're just going to take another look at it. And the reason we're going to take another look at it is because we are asking $7,500, and that's a big chunk. So we do want to be fair to everybody, and we want to be fair to our residents also. Okay. If there is, okay, thank you. Joan is reminding me, and she is our parliamentarian, that director's comments are for directors only. Okay, thank you, Joan. If there's no more director comments, okay, we will adjourn the meeting, and I just want to thank staff again.
Sorry, President Carpenter, I just want to make sure that the board understands that this is the final look at the budget before it comes to you for an official vote. The official vote will be taken at your September meeting, so that I believe is September
7th.
7th. At your September 7th meeting, we'll be putting forth resolutions with all of the information that you see included in your packets here. Hearing no changes, that's the information that you're going to get at those meetings, and then you can either choose to further discuss or put the budget at that point.
Okay, thank you. All right. Goodbye, everybody. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Manny.
All right. Bye.
Yes.